Alright, welcome back everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I got something super important for you guys, especially those of you that are applying to college this year. I'm going to be telling you guys basically the tips, some essay writing tips, and some really important things about essay writing that you should incorporate in the essays that you write when you apply to whatever college it is. And I'm going to be sharing kind of the mistakes that I made in some of my essays that kind of made the essay worse, and basically how you can avoid making those mistakes. And I'll tell you about the really good aspects of my essays that kind of helped me bolster my application as a whole. So I'll be going over all that with you guys right now. So I'm going to begin this video by telling you guys the most well-known tip and my spin on it. So everyone says, okay, start your essays really early. And I completely agree with that. You should start your essays several months in advance, or at least several weeks in advance of your admissions date. And this is super important because it makes sure that you have ample time to edit, to make sure you read it over and it sits well with you. And you could change the person during those couple of months, and then you can add new things that you kind of discover about yourself to that essay, and things that you might not be able to do, say if you were rushed and trying to get it done in 1 or 2 days. So that advice is pretty fair, right? Take as much time as you can basically before your essays are due, and make sure that they're done well. However, here's where the twist comes in, and this is something that I find really important myself. For me and a lot of people that I know, having a stream of consciousness, just be able to spurt out, is really vital to creating good work. And what I mean by that is just sitting on a computer, not having your editing part of your brain, just having your checking and making sure what you're writing makes sense, and having that completely shut off, and just writing and writing and writing. And when it's done, you'll look at it and be like, oh, what's there? And when you just unfilter your thoughts and just sit down and start writing, and basically keep on typing until your fingers get tired, then you look back at it, and usually what you see is a lot of the things that will come out are things that are very true to you, because you didn't put that extra step to be oh, what's the admissions committee gonna think of what I just wrote? You're gonna completely write something that is about you and who you are, and it's your thoughts. So for example, I could be writing about a hardship I came over, and I'd be writing oh, when I was in grade 9 I did this, and grade 10 I did this, and then you keep on writing whatever comes to mind. And by the end of it, you'll be like, okay, you know what, maybe that stuff isn't good, that stuff isn't good, but that middle stuff, you know what, because I let myself just keep on writing unfiltered, even though I produced some garbage, I also produced some things that were actually very true to me. And you're gonna be able to have a lot more to work with once you try this exercise of just sitting down and typing for say 30 minutes. You set a timer and you're I'm gonna type for 30 minutes and I'm gonna see what comes out of it. So yeah, so in summary, basically that tip means you create this big body of text, and then you kind of chip away at it. If you can imagine a big rock and you're trying to make a statue, you just chip away at it until you get to basically the good stuff, and then you can start doing a lot of things with it. The second tip I have for you guys is to inject everything that is interesting about your personality, however, in a way that, say, the university doesn't expect. So for one of the programs, one of the universities I applied to in Canada, and I applied to several in the US as well. I made a whole video on that, you guys can check it out. But one of them was I was applying to a health sciences program. So they had essays on communities I'm part of and different things like that. Well, you can expect, it's a health sciences program. Most people going in that program want to go down a health kind of route. So they don't necessarily have experiences that, well, they actually might have experiences that are completely out of the health sphere. However, they just don't think about including them in their essays. So my essays were half about why I want to go into a health program, but the other half was just about my computer science, my passion for computer science and all the tech projects that I built, and how I can see them intersecting together. So every single essay had those two components, and you could see it. Or another essay might have had something about running and how I was a dedicated runner, or something else might have been about any other thing that I'm interested in. I like playing chess, I like playing the guitar, anything that you might be interested in. And once you mix those things together, especially in a way that the admissions committee, well, they're reading like thousands of essays. If you can mix it in a way that's completely unexpected for them, and like in a way that is gonna set you apart from the other people, that's gonna really reflect well on who you are, that you are like a human being that has more than one passion and you see things from multiple angles. That's gonna be like really helpful to creating some great essays for you guys. Now, an example of how I didn't follow my own advice here is in one of my applications on the Common App. I was applying to Stanford, and it asked me like, what are 5 words to describe you, something like that. And I was applying to a computer science, well, I said that was my intended major or something along those lines. And it said like, what are 5 words that describe you? And I mean, there was a 10-word limit, which is funny. And basically what it was is like, I was applying to a computer science program and my 5 words were just like eat, sleep, code, along with like some programming syntax that made it look like I just wrote a program that said eat, sleep, code. And I thought I was brilliant. I was like, oh, this is the essay that's gonna get me in. But I mean, now that I think of it, that's probably like the most cliche thing I could have wrote, especially if you're applying to a computer science program. So that was that's how I messed up on one of my own essays, by not following this tip. Now, before I get into the do not section of like what you want to avoid in your essays, I'm going to tell you my last big tip, which is to go to your local bookstore about like a couple weeks before you submit your essays, of course. Go to your local bookstore, go to your local newsstand, and grab some really good quality writing and journalism. So grab some like university level texts, right? I don't know if it's science, if it's like history. Go to your newsstand, grab like some newspaper that you like reading. For me, like I read some of The Economist, I read some of BBC, and the thing is about these newspapers is that the people that work for them, they have had to go through a lot of competition to get to where they are, and they've had to kind of prove that their writing is really robust, and they have great grammar, and they have a nice writing flair, and they can you know, they have a nice writing style. So basically, if you can look at these newspapers and see how they're writing, especially on their like opinion pieces, right? They use a lot of rhetorical elements to kind of persuade you about different things. And if you can kind of learn how, or kind of learn to emulate how these amazing writers write, and kind of incorporate that into your own essays, that's going to make your essays so much more powerful and meaningful, because you're using the tools that the best writers, the best modern writers are using, and you're using them to your advantage in your own writing. So go pick up some really high-level text, some really nice journalism, and learn to use their style of writing, their tone, like whatever you know, the bits and pieces that feel natural to you, and use it in your own writing to convey your own message. Now, before I get into the do not section of this video, I just want to thank our sponsor for this video, Crimson Education. Crimson Education is what I believe to be the highest application support program out there for high schoolers and even seniors that are in the middle of their application process. They specialize in admission strategy and application support, especially if you're applying from another country to the US and want to get into top programs. They can help you with that to maximize your chances of getting in. For seniors that want to make their application stand out to these top US programs, I recommend you go with Crimson Education to fill out your essays, to fill out get help with your applications, and make sure that you really stand out in terms of everything that you do. Crimson's team includes people that worked at top tier universities in the admissions committees, so they know exactly what these universities are looking for in your essays. But if you're not a high school senior yet and you just want to get a head start, then don't worry, Crimson has a lot of mentoring programs to make sure that over the entire high school career that you have, you build a nice theme and story for your application to stand out when the time comes. But if you're not a high school senior yet, don't worry. Crimson Education has mentoring programs for freshmen, sophomores, and juniors to build a cohesive story and a nice theme to your entire application over your entire high school career to make your application stand out when time comes. College applications usually don't look fantastic because they're just a big random laundry list of activities that you did. However, Crimson makes sure to make those activities pop and put a nice story into everything to bring them together and make your application pop out. These experts will absolutely bring your admissions and essays to the next level. So if you want to work with Crimson's essay review as a high school senior, or if you're a junior, freshman, or sophomore that wants to work with their application mentoring program, then click the first link in the description below and get connected for a free consultation with these top experts at Crimson. Now let's get into the do nots of your college application essays. So the number one do not is to not make your entire essay basically are a copy of your resume. So your essay, and something that I did make as a mistake is in some of my essays, it's like, oh, you know, describe a notable event in your life. And you're like, oh yeah, like a notable event was when I went to this research program and I got all these awards, and I was like, wow, like, you know, I was kind of using that essay space to just go over all of the, you know, the accomplishments, over my accolades in different ways. And I was like, yeah, I got this award, and then like this happened, and this was really cool, because, you know, you're just basically flexing on the admissions committee through your essay. Well, the essay is not supposed to be a flex, right? If it is, it has to be in an extremely subtle way. It can't be in a way where you're just like, yeah, like I was ranked top 50 in this. Like, there's virtually no point where you should put I was ranked like top 100 in your essay, because what you want your essay to do is kind of evoke emotion, because they want to know who you are as a person, right? Imagine we lived in a world with like none of these accomplishments, none of these things that give us like none of these LinkedIn, you know, type accomplishments that you can, you know, put on your resume. Imagine we just lived in a world where we were just like humans talking with each other. I want to know basically what it is that makes you like an interesting character. Like what are the passions that you have that you can bring and kind of add to our student population by making it more diverse in terms of thought and character. Alright, so the second do not is to not write an essay with this idea of someone that's getting in, like this person that gets into like this university that you want to go to, and you would write an essay thinking that like this is an essay that like that person would write. So what I mean is, say you're applying to like a health or pre-med program, and I know people that would write essays that would, you know, they think the admissions committee is looking for this kind of person, so they're going to write an essay to kind of tailor themselves to the admission committee, because they're like, oh, the admissions committee wants this kind of person. They have this like, you know, fictional idea in their head. Obviously, you know, this person likes this kind of stuff, so they'll just like write an essay and pretend to be this guy with who they're not. When someone reads your essay, they need to be able to, without your name on that essay, they need to be able to be like, oh, well, that's Kevin's essay. You know, he forgot his name on it. Kevin, come put your name on your work. You forgot to, you handed it in without your name on it. They should be able to tell whose work it is, right? Just like because it's so personal to you. The essay is literally to get a gauge of who you are. So basically, if you're trying to write an essay in terms of what you think the other person wants and trying to have this fictional idea in your head of, you know, this person that you need to be, it's gonna show, and it's gonna be very annoying for the admissions committee, and they're gonna be like, oh, this is like 10th time I read someone that says, oh, they love like saving sea turtles, and this is a marine program, right? Well, I bet you do love saving sea turtles, but, you know, don't write that just because you think the person wants to read that. Write something that's more meaningful to you when you can. All right, so the last tip I give you about like a do not, before I get into 3 quick bonus tips like that are super like quick fire. The last tip I'm gonna tell you is something kind of controversial. Take it with a grain of salt. So the Common App gives you, and maybe the Coalition too. I haven't taken a look at the Coalition application, but the Common App will give you several essay prompts for your main essay, and the last one will be like an other or like your own free form essay, and it won't have a prompt. And I see a lot of kids going for that free form essay, right? Because why not, right? Oh, I have this essay from there. It was a pretty good essay, you know. Let me just reuse it here. Or for whatever reason, they want to be creative, and they want to do their own free form essay. So what I'm gonna tell you guys is to be very wary of this free form essay, because in my personal opinion, and once again, this is my opinion, take it with a grain of salt. Everyone does it. Everyone picks a free form essay. No one wants to be confined by boundaries, and sometimes you end up writing something that is not necessarily interesting at all to read, because you know the prompts are there for a reason, right? They give you like 5 or 6 prompts for a reason. That's because those kind of prompts show a lot about who you are, and if you can find creative ways around those prompts, you know, while still answering the prompt directly, and make sure you answer the prompt directly, right? Then that shows a lot about who you are, and that you can take something and kind of squish it around and make it into something that represents who you are. Now this free form essay, I've seen people completely butcher it, write some completely irrelevant thing that doesn't reveal much about anything. It's kind of like rambling when you read it, and it really doesn't look nice. So I would urge you, again, unless you know you're an amazing writer and you have this amazing idea that a lot of people are like, yeah, this is completely you, do not go for that free form essay. Stick to one of the prompts. They give you so many prompts to work with. Pick one of the prompts and put your creativity into the prompt that best fits you, because those prompts are there for a reason. And too many kids are like freeform to the point where I'd say, like, if you were, you know, reading another Common App essay and it was like, oh, he actually responded to one of the prompts, well, isn't that interesting? That will set you apart a little bit just by itself. So that's it for the video, guys. 3 quick tips before I get out of here. Number 1 is don't reread your essay after you have submitted it. I would do that a million times. I would reread my essays until I got my decision. That is a complete waste of time. Number 2 is don't show your essays to 1,000 people, because that's just going to get on your nerves. Every single person is going to say something. Have your trusted set of people. Don't go outside of it. You know, shouldn't be more than like 6-7 people. And the last thing, I just wrote it down right here, is so the last thing is don't change your essay last minute. And this is something I did on one of my applications and it went terribly. So do not change one of your essays the night before it's due. So that's all, guys. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos coming out soon. And that's all, so take care.